Hi. Well, I have a fun little idea for a project today. These are the Koss KSC75 over-the-ear clip-on style headphones. And what I like to say about the Koss kind of entry-level lineup in general, whether it's these guys or the Porta Pro or what's the other one, the KPH 30. Um, they all sound different, but the thing they all have in common is they all sound better than, frankly, they have any right to at this price point. These things are like $30 on Amazon, and they sound great. Um, I love the soundstage, the stereo separation in these, the high mids right through to the very high end. Sounds great. They're not a very exciting or dynamic headphone in like the low mids. They don't have much like sub bass to speak of. So if that's your thing, these aren't really for you, but they're great for like I said about 30-40 bucks or whatever. And this is no secret. I mean, if you are in the headphone nerddom, the headphone community, you've probably heard the name Koss before. But we have to address the fact that these look like shit. They look like they came in a Happy Meal. They look like they came in from a complimentary plastic bag on a Air Ontario Jazz flight from 1994. Um, just this plastic, this general like clip on over the ear gym rat style. I personally think is ugly. The cable is very just like Radio Shack quality cable. So yeah, I mean, there's that. But like I said, they sound great and they're a bargain. So here is where we bring in these things. These I found on Alibaba, AliExpress. Are those the same thing? I don't know. um, they're by a company called OpenHeart, presumably a Chinese manufacturer. These were, I think, $70, which is less than a pair of Grado SR60s. And we can clearly see they are, shall we say, inspired by the Grado design, which is kind of polarizing. Some people love it, some people hate it. I happen to think Grados are wonderful aesthetically and sonically. But where the Grados would be very famously a wooden ear cup, here these are machined aluminum. And frankly, I think these are a better build than the Grados. For one thing, you may have noticed, wow, detachable cable, which I don't think is something Grado has done, and they really freaking should in this day and age. But apart from that, a couple other nice touches. Like I really like I don't know if it'll show up on the camera. There's like the red stitching in the headband, which is nice. I think it just pops, looks good. And of course, we have the L and R markers, but there's also a little blue and red ring there to differentiate, which is also metal. I think that's nice. I think that looks good. Yeah, this is good. I mean, let's pop the cuff off here. This is all machined aluminum. It feels nice and weighty. It feels very solid. Um, for this price, this is awesome. And I haven't even mentioned yet what else you get with this package. So it comes with the stock ear cups here. It also comes with like the donut shape, the same size, and the jumbo supra oral style, again with the donut shape. And you get this leatherette pouch for them. You get this is a little leather clip to go around the cable, which we'll see in a sec, and this cable pouch as well. But look at this. Look at this beautiful braided cable with the bean and the 3.5 millimeter TRS on both ends. This is great. This is frankly superior to what you get from Grado, who they're clearly trying to knock off. And you get the headphone clip, whatever. You get a 1/4 inch adapter as well. Who cares? But The problem we now arrive at is that these sound like shit. I gotta give it to Grado there. Grados do sound fantastic, even the cheaper the SR60, where these would be plastic, not wood. Um, those do sound great. These just sound like a toy. They're very squashed. They're very muddy. They're very claustrophobic. So we now arrive at this problem where these headphones look great, they feel great, but they sound like shit. And these headphones sound great, but they look like Fisher Price Mickey Mouse crap. Um, but wouldn't you know it, the drivers are about the same size. So what we're going to do today for a fun little project is take the driver out of the Koss KSC75 and transplant it into these OpenHeart. Did I say what they were called? I think they're called OpenHeart 2500s. But if you just go and look on AliExpress / Alibaba. I don't know if those are the same company. I think you can search actually for like Koss mod or Koss headband or Grado. I'm sure this will come up, or just headphones. You'll find these. So yeah, we're gonna do a driver transplant today for a bit of fun, and hopefully at the end of the day we'll have something that is stylish and sounds good and is wearable and listenable. Cool. Let's get into it. Oh, and by the way, I just wanted to give a quick shout out to the Reddit users whose names are currently on screen for doing this build, this mod before. I did not invent this. I did not think of this. So yeah, thanks to the people before me who have done this, who are more capable than me. I just thought I would make a fun video about how to do this mod. Okay, so I've taken the pads off of the OpenHeart. This part of the grill looks to be in there with adhesive, but I think I can just kind of unscrew the upper cap here. So I got some suberidome. I don't know what this is called in English, like a non-slip mat thing. I'm just gonna try to twist. Yep. That's loosened up. Cool. Here's the grill. Oh, there's a little layer of... I don't know if this is for acoustic purposes or just to keep dust out, but that's cool. And it's really clean in here. Very nice, clean solder. Looks like there's the jack going in here. I'll probably just desolder it here and then take that whole driver out. Well, I just realized I've left most of my soldering equipment at work. But I have my iron here and just a bit of steel wool instead of my usual scrubber and stuff. I'm gonna put just a bit of solder on the tip just to get things flowing. And let's try and desolder these. Always a good idea to take a picture of things first, just in case you don't remember what goes where. You can always look back. And you might want to also use like needle nose pliers or something to protect your fingies from getting burnt. Okay, came free, nice and easy. Yeah, so I don't know why I didn't think about this sooner, but obviously it's much easier to work on the ear cup if you remove it from the headband entirely. So that's what I'm doing here. You just need a hex key or Allen key and probably something to pinch the bolt on the other side. Listen, I was doing this thing first thing in the morning. My brain was not working properly, and y'all are watching me kind of figure this out in real time because I had no idea what these were going to look like until I got them in my hand. So, yeah, some silly mistakes were made. Y'all, I'm having a case of the sillies today. So after looking at the driver, I was like, how am I going to get that out of there? Maybe I can pop the grill off. Guys, this side screws off too. So here's the original driver, and I'm not worried about damaging this driver because I'm not going to use it for anything. Maybe just cut around the edge with a razor to kind of break the glue, and then hopefully it should just pop out that way. Okay, on to the cost side of things for a second. You can see I've already removed the ear clip on this one, and I just kind of twisted it off like that. Just broke through the plastic, but that's okay. Thinking I might use the drivers just like this, keep this plastic bit there. I don't think that would be too big of a problem. I do want to keep this foam though, because I might want to be putting that in the cup of the new unit or not. So looks like these are just, you can see that there's little pins inside here. So if you just kind of lift up and out, it should come off. Okay, so this is the part of the video that I didn't record audio in real time because my girlfriend was over and watching the pit stop. You can see I've already got one of the ear cups done. And yeah, now I'm just kind of walking through how I did it. So I ended up using a heat gun to get the old driver out, and you can see there's a bit of glue along the rim still here. I cleaned that up with a bit of steel wool and some like glue remover, Goo Gone, and go in with a little scraper to get the finer points out. I basically just applied heat all the way around the rim on both sides until it was loose enough that I could just pop it out with my fingers. Wear gloves though, because it was hot. And like I said, the driver was all kinds of messed up. Like, yeah, I wouldn't expect to salvage the driver from that process, but I'm not going to use it for anything anyway. So I do take that little plastic cap off the Koss driver. I think it was more so I was just trying to size things up to see how much play I would have with the once the TRS terminal is into place there, and I do have enough wiggle room that I can keep the foam on and even keep the. I think I do keep the Koss plastic cover off until the very last step. Yeah, but doing it this way, I found that the fit was actually snug enough that I didn't have to glue this driver down or anything. It was just in there with friction, basically. You'll see in a second. It was a really, really nice fit. I was expecting that I would have to glue the driver directly in, which would make it a bit more permanent, but this really worked. So once you begin to screw it in, like I said, it's so snug that you'll see the driver is actually turning with it before it's fully locked in. So I just get a pair of needle nose pliers and kind of gently grab onto that plastic bit in the center and counter rotate it as it's going. I wanted the driver to be aligned so that the terminals on the driver were opposite the point on the TRS jack where I was going to solder them to. Number one, just to give myself enough room to have a long-ish wire, and number two, just to make sure that the left and right are both aligned in a similar way. It's probably not super important sonically, but I like to be consistent. Do be careful with that though, because if you grip that plastic bit in the center too hard, I'm pretty sure it will snap off. It's just cheap plastic. It's not really strong. So yeah, I'm just twisting the cap a little bit and then twisting the driver in the reverse direction until things kind of line up the way I like them. And then I put the little plastic cover back on. So you'll see on the driver that there are two terminals, one's for the ground and one's for the positive, which are connected to the wire. You could just get a small piece of wire and solder directly to the driver if you wanted, but I figure this wire's already here. I might as well use that. And now I've got two beautiful looking. Oh, by the way, if you look at these TRS clips, you'll notice that one of the, they're kind of glued in there opposite to each other. That's how they came. Like the longer ground pin on one side is down, facing down towards the driver, and on one side is facing up away from the driver. I don't know if they did that on purpose for some reason or if it's just like a QC thing, but whatever. It doesn't matter. Even in the snugger configuration where the ground pane is facing down towards the driver, I still had enough room to get it in there without like disturbing anything. I did bend it up a little bit with a pair of needle nose pliers though, just to get it so it's not touching the driver. Yeah, now I'm just trimming the wire so that I have enough. You see me kind of measure just along the, um, what's the word I'm looking for? Perimeter of the circle. Circumference. That's what I was thinking of. The circumference. Yeah, you can, instead of just going direct point A to point B, just give myself a little bit of slack to, uh, make mistakes or have things a little bit loose so they're not perfectly tight. For stripping the wires, I used to always strip wires with just a knife. You bend the wire and cut the outer shield with a knife and go around it. And then I bought one of these kind of multi-gauge wire strippers, and that's good too. But the real game changer is kind of this style of like a spring-loaded vice grip thing. Like I resisted buying one for the longest time, but I'm so glad I did eventually because it just makes things so much easier, especially for these really thin wires, like when I'm doing headphones and stuff. Just a real quick snip, and that gets your outer shield gone. So when you strip away the outer core, you'll find that there are two threads inside. One is an unshielded just copper, and that's going to be your ground. And the other is going to be either red or green, depending on the side. The red for the right side and the green for the left side. So the copper bit is going to get soldered to the longest terminal on the TRS. And the other one, your positive, is just going to go to wherever you desoldered the original driver from. There should still be a bit of a goob of solder on there that you'll notice. And sometimes these thin copper wires have a little bit of like fiber strands in there, so I like to just give them a quick little flash with a lighter to burn away anything that's not metal in there, so I can properly twist and the metal can bind together. And the inner wire was actually too thin to use my cool grippy wire strippers. So you'll see I bring back the other gauged ones in a second here. And those are actually too thick too. But you can kind of get away with it if you angle them in such a way that you're kind of gripping it at like a 45 rather than perpendicular, the way the tool is intended to be used. I've done this before with very, very thin wires, and it seems to work okay. Just make sure that things are clean and you're not like grinding any plastic in with the metal. Cool, so with that bit of soldering done, you can screw both sides back on, and now you've basically got a functioning pair of headphones. Normally I would test for continuity with a voltmeter at this point, but this is such a simple build, I'm just going to plug them into the TRS and see if they play. I have a test audio file that I use for stuff like this. It's basically just a couple different sine sweeps, and it tests the left and the right signals independently. So yeah, there were no problems there. Now I'm going to go ahead and reattach the headband. So again, unscrew one side of the ear cups and put those hex screws back in. You don't need to go too tight with them, and you can kind of play with this a bit to see how you like it to fit on your head. This part I sped up because it's just putting screws together and screwing the caps back on, which at this point you've already done several times, so I'm pretty sure you can figure this all out. Just make sure you get your left and your right where you want them. And yeah, then just put the foam pads of your choice back on and you've got a complete set of headphones. Yeah, so this is a great sounding, great looking piece of kit to add to your collection. For a pretty reasonable price. And more so, I think it's just a really fun beginner project. I'm not the most capable at soldering or electronics, but I figured this out pretty easily. If you're just getting into headphone modding or just getting into electronics, this is a really fun, great place to start. So yeah, I hope a lot more people choose to do this mod, and they sound great at the end of the day. I can't wait to spend some more time with these, and thanks for watching.